So once we have performed retargeting between same topologies or different ones, we can also perform the retargeting of matrices. So that would be rig controllers or skin joints or any matrix node that you have in your setup. And the main application is, for example, this is the reference head we used before. This is target 1 and this is target 1 matched on this one. So imagine you have a full rig and skeleton inside the reference and you want to automatically get this rig but inside the new head. You can achieve that with the matrix interpolation feature and have any matrix position within this mesh and get the result in the target input and also in the one that is retargeted. So just a very quick example with a simple locator. If I place this locator here, for example on the mouse of the reference mesh, I just click here on interp selected matrix and you can see that it created two locators, one here and one here, and these locators represent the position of this one but in this mesh space. So if I move it, for example on the nose, you can see that it's moving on the corresponding area of the target mesh. So it's also following the local orientation the same way it has been for the vertices and what we applied for this deform. So you have two outputs. So this is the input. If I show you in the node editor, it is plugged in an array of the node which has a matrix attribute and these three attributes. So just to show you in the UI, you can choose the output type. So by default is locator, so it just creates two outputs, two locator for both outputs. And if you haven't set up a retarget before, this output, the second output is useless, so no locator will be created. And you can just set this to custom, and here, for example, if I create a cube and I click here, this is the locator is replaced. Is this? There is a neighboring attribute that you can set to count by default. So this will represent how many neighbors here, how many vertices are used for the interpolations, and you can change count to distance factor. So count is the total number of neighbors. So no matter where this one is, even in the center of the head, it will always take 3 neighbors or whatever count you set, and the higher the neighbors, the smoother the result. So it can be less and less accurate if you increase too much the neighbor count. If you set it to distance factor, it will search for all neighbors within this factor, and 1 is approximately 20% of the mesh. If you go to 0, it will fall back to count and use the 4 closest neighbors. So just to have a look at the deform result, you can see that you can have also this matrix in the space of the retargeted mesh. So here, if we go back to the node editor and take this locator and this one, so you can see that we have 1 matrix input and 2 outputs, the retargeted and the static. And here these are just locators in world space, so I just plugged directly the matrices in the offset parent matrix. But if you have complex rigs, this won't work. I didn't made tools in the UI to set up complex rig because there are too many possibilities. So if you want to set up a complex output with joints in hierarchy, for example, you will have to use this class, so MeshMatch commands, and you have plenty of utilities to do whatever you want with the nodes, create connection, create the node, plug the meshes, create new matrices, and so on. So you can just import this module and increase, augment it, or just use it as it is, or just use all the available function. And I will just add more utilities when I will have more feedback from the users. So just to show you a quick setup, if I will take this scene and this is a setup with joint in hierarchy. So let's just imagine, so this is a reference mesh that we saw in the video from the retargeting for same topologies. So let's imagine this chain of joints is a rig for this reference mesh, and I want to have the result in the target mesh space. So this is what we have here. So if I rotate this, it's rotating in the correct axis in the result, and if I just deform this mesh, sorry, if I deform the output, joints will adapt. So you can see that these joints are following the result. So just to quickly show you in the node editor, here if I take this output joint, so this is the second one in the hierarchy, and the first one just took in input the resulting matrix in its offset parent matrix attribute, but since B2 is a child of the first one, I couldn't just plug the world result from here in B2. I had to multiply with inverse matrix of its parent. So if you want to interpolate a whole rig, you will need to script these connections so that for any controller you account for its parent inverse matrix. So in the next video I will show you how to create this matrix interpolation for these same topologies.